Okay. Okay, we're going
Did
live.
we see?
Oh, I forgot to move this thing. Okay. Oh, oh boy. What do I do? Where do I put it? I'll be right back. Oh, hello everybody. We're live. I need to hear this. Do you hear this? This is annoying me. I need
We,
to move it.
hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you are here tonight.
Okay, I'm
We're,
back.
no, no, good job. Way to hustle, Andrew. I'm very proud of you.
I got a present for myself. Um, and I'm kind of disappointed in how it works. Um,
Oh, that's not
okay,
good.
so do you know those it's like a science toy, okay?
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called. But uh one one sec. Okay, so but um what they are is a they are like a vacuum tube ball with a turny thing inside. And the turny thing has four paddles, and each paddle has a dark side and a mirrored side. And
Okay.
what's supposed to happen when you put it in front of a heat source or light, um, it's supposed to spin, and you're supposed to wonder, wow, how is it spinning? It's like magic. Except mine doesn't spin. There's no magic. There's no magic. It's so sad. Okay,
It
I
does all? Like, for real?
doesn't like it doesn't do it right. Uh,
Now I feel sad too, damn it.
yeah, I'm gonna try doing it in front of a like a hair dryer. But
Does
yeah.
it need, because it's supposed to run on like magnetic electricity or like,
Well,
what is it?
the whole thing about it is that it's supposed to make you wonder whether it's oh god, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like playing with buttons that are really scary. It's supposed to make you wonder whether it's powered by light or heat. That's supposed to be the question. And
Oh,
so is it the photons bouncing? Because it spins like the dark side is supposed to like absorb and emit, and that is supposed to make it spin, I believe. So you're supposed to like wonder, is it absorbing the photons and that's what's making it spin, or is it absorbing heat and that's what's making it spin? But mine doesn't work. So when I
but
look at it, I just think, this is exactly what I expected you to not spin, and you're not spinning. What is this? This is, you're not a
so
science toy. You're just a thing now.
So, but if the heat works, then we'll unequivocally know why the heat works. Is that correct?
I guess so. Um,
Well, that makes it rather disappointing. I mean, like if you were 6, maybe we could get away with this, but I feel like you've got a 6-year-old beat on this one, and this is unfortunate.
okay. Well, I can't remember what they're called, which is making it really hard to Google it. One second. I'll be right back.
For the listeners at home, this is the third, no, maybe the fourth time since I've come on the call, and Andrew's like, wait, I'll be right back.
Okay. I have a book, and in
Ooh,
theory, this book has what it's called in there. Okay. Uh, yeah, this is riveting. Okay, what's it called? A radiometer. That's what it's called. Okay, let's Google
radio.
radiometer.
Yeah, now I need to see what this looks like.
It's exactly how I described it. It's like a vacuum ball
Is
with a thing inside that spins, a spinny thing, and one side is black and the other side is polished like a mirror,
I
and
had no idea they have real names.
they're supposed to spin, but mine doesn't spin. Mine just sits. It just looks like this. This is what it looks like, and when you tap it, it wiggles, and it makes that wiggling sound.
I'm quite convinced that people only want me on this stream so that they can listen for the ridiculous things I say and be like, oh man, that exit girl, she sounds smart sometimes, but then she goes on Andrew's stream and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, so this is a science toy. Um, I need to figure out why mine doesn't work. Maybe there's like some magic you're supposed to do to make it work better. I don't know. Or maybe mine is just it was just made wrong. I don't know.
What happens if you set it in the window in the sun though?
Tried it. I tried pointing a laser at it. I've done everything except a heat gun. I'm gonna try a heat gun. Maybe a heat gun will do it.
I'm really sad the laser didn't work. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I was really hoping for the laser. It was a very weak laser. Maybe a better laser would work. It was like a borderline flashlight. It was not the best. You're blaming my magnetic field. What are you saying? What are you talking? What are you trying to say about my magnetic fields? Um. Anyways,
Rude.
Chinese knockoff radiometer. That's not a Chinese knockoff radiometer. It was actually made by hand by somebody. The handmade artisanal radiometer. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe making it by hand is the problem. Uh, it's not glass bearing. I don't think they even have glass bearings. I don't think any of them have a glass bearing. But anyways, to the news.
Wait, is it hand blown though? Hand blown glass?
I guess so. I think so. Yeah.
Well, now I'm impressed with it, even if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. So let's we can go to the news now. Is there any boat news you want to talk about?
Yeah, I can talk about boat news for a sec. We have had all but basically all but 2 days since I last chatted with you on last Tuesday. We have had ships transiting the corridor, either in or out, which is like it's not a lot of ships. It's like 2 to 3 ships each time, but that's cool because that means it's like a consistent corridor with consistent movement. And it means that things like insurance rates are dropping. Ship owners aren't charging as much money to take the trip anymore. You're not having to pay as high a bonus to the crew members anymore to ask them to take the trip with the ship. It's all really, really good stuff. It's on the way to being like a full functioning corridor. And when Russia is attacking, they seem to be attacking the grain infrastructure around the corridor, which is not optimal, but of all the things that they could be attacking, that's better than lots of other bits. So it's awesome. It's exciting for me. Interestingly, we haven't had a ton of news coming out of the other side of the Black Sea over near Crimea. There hasn't been a whole bunch of landings. There hasn't been a whole bunch of USV attacks. It's been kind of quiet. Although last Tuesday when I was here, I said, hey, we just passed a substantial date for Ukraine. I think it was Day of Defenders, the Sunday before last. And I said, it's weird that we didn't hear Ukraine doing any particular kind of showy landings or things, because before they've timed their landings to be on those particular dates. And I think it was the next morning, Ukraine Defense Intelligence Ukraine released a video of them landing in Crimea and on the Kinburn Spit and a different spit that I don't remember the name of right now. And they didn't put a date on it. I would be very surprised if it wasn't on the Day of Defenders. So that was cool that that actually came out, and we know that it was kind of in line with that date, even if it wasn't on the exact date, it was definitely in line with that date. They're definitely still operating in that area, but not at the same pace that they were um, even a month ago. And that could just be because Russia has pulled back so much that they just don't have to operate as much as they were before. Because obviously, Russia is not operating in the Black Sea the same way that they were before all of these attacks,
Yep. They ran away with their tail between their legs. Uh,
which is great.
there is one thing I read yesterday, and I have no confirmation on this. It was just curious to me. It may not be true. I just want to preface with that. They said that Russia had moved more planes to Crimea, and among these planes are MiG 31s, and they think that is why Ukraine hasn't done as many Storm Shadows recently, because of the MiG 31s have the longer range radars and whatnot that they can hunt down uh, an Su-24. I don't know if that's true though. I just I've just read about that.
Oh no.
But anyways, uh, have the ports been taking much damage recently? Because there's been like a lot of Shaheds. Okay.
My my computer just froze and I couldn't answer you, so I had to switch to my phone. My
Okay.
apologies.
Yeah, no problem.
So the ports are they have taken some damage along the Danube, and the Chernomorsk port took some damage to a granary, but not the extent of the damage that we have seen before. It seems like they are taking down the majority of the Shaheds that are attacking, and that the granary that was hit, if I remember correctly, it was hit with an onyx, sorry. And so it seems like they are a little bit more capable with their air defense at the moment. Or for whatever reason, the way Russia is attacking, they seem to be able to defend it and repel it better than they had been before. So that's a good thing.
Interesting. Uh, yeah. So I keep hearing that Shaheds are shot down in Kherson and around Mykolaiv, but then like they attack over here. It always makes me wonder what the Shaheds are doing because I don't really. It's just weird that they like get shot down around Kherson, but attack around Odessa. So are they like flying through as much air defense as possible? Like, is that their strategy? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and I cannot claim to be the person who knows enough about air defense to even remotely answer that question. That is definitely a John question because I have no clue. But it is like it's interesting how often things get shot down in one place and then that they often just don't at all. In like the Danube River ports seem like they get hit way more by Shaheds than anywhere else in Ukraine, really.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which towns have reported Shahed damage. I think this town has reported Shahed damage. Um, and one of these did, like somewhere in here. So it was like the Shaheds were like getting shot down around here because that was the damage. Like it got shot down and it crashed into like a farm and like lit a barn on fire. Oh, this one, Berezanka. This one had Shahed damage. So I think this is roughly where the Shaheds get shot down around here. Um, and there were some reports of Shahed damage like over here, I think, um, like this kind of general area. uh, it's just interesting. They don't report Shahed crashes very often. It's very seldom. Because I think they just don't want to say where they're shot down. But every once in a while, something happens that they can't hide, like someone house burns down or something. They can't hide it, and then they publish it. I think here in Berezanka, I think what happened, if I remember right, I might be remembering wrong. I anyway, one of these towns, the Shahed crashed directly into a gas station, and the gas station exploded. So they couldn't hide that one. it's like it's like okay, the gas station exploded.
That must have been a very big boom and
Yeah.
probably not really great.
No, I don't. I don't think anyone got hurt. I don't think the gas station was permanently destroyed or anything. Like it didn't like catastrophically explode. Like it like crashed into it, and I think the parking lot caught on fire. Um, and I think one of the tanks caught on fire, but they put the fire out. Because
I mean,
I
as
think
gas stations blowing up, that sounds like the best option
yeah,
possible.
because I think like the emergency stuff kicked in, and it like it stopped putting gas up to the surface or whatever. So only the gas like on the surface was on fire. It wasn't like the whole tank. I don't think the tank can catch on fire because there's like no oxygen, right? So, anyways, I just remember some of those. These are like vague memories that come up whenever I something jogs my memory, and I say, "Oh yeah, I remember reading an article about that like 3 days ago." But anyways, okay, so I'm gonna get into all the news that nobody wants to hear about first, and then we're gonna just talk about the end, all the news that people do want to talk about. so, um, so in the north, there's not too much going on. There was a lull in airstrikes, especially in the north, in Sumy and Chernihiv. There's a lull in airstrikes for a while, like 3 or 4 days of like maybe one airstrike a day. And today, there were more airstrikes, but there's still only three. So that's not terrible, or four actually. So that's not terrible. Four airstrikes. One in Chernihiv, which we never get news from Chernihiv because their government doesn't like report anything. They like, I guess to them there's no war or something. Sumy, there was a terrible news story today out of Sumy, out of this town here. Um, there's shelling that killed a 13-year-old girl. Um, that was pretty sad. There's some airstrikes. One was by helicopter. The other I just generically put as an airplane, but it was probably also a helicopter. So it's all there's not terribly much going on up here. It's just kind of occasionally shelling civilians and occasional airstrikes. And most of the airstrikes are rockets from helicopters, although occasionally it's rockets from airplanes. Um, no, I did not see the Russian recruitment ad. I did not see a recruitment ad. Uh, although I'm sure they it's funny because they've had some pretty funny recruitment ads in the past where they have like what's her name, Sasha Grey, in a recruitment ad. That one was funny. But anyways, uh, a round of Vovchansk again. Ooh, I made this the wrong color, and I also didn't label it right. That is just a that's just a train wreck, isn't it? Anyways, uh, there's some airstrikes here in the northern part of Kharkiv, but it's just more or less saying there is some things going on in the north, but not terribly much. It's not terribly interesting. This the same around Kupiansk. They've been attacking towards Sinkivka. They've been attacking towards Ivanivka. So this is Ivanivka here. So they've been attacking towards Sinkivka, attacking towards Ivanivka, occasionally attacking towards Petropavlivka, and by Petropavlivka, it really means like this area, which is a heavily defended um, portion, not so much the town. So there's some minor fighting going on, not super interesting. There's more heavy fighting going around near Makivka, where they have recently been pushing up these tree lines, trying to advance towards Makivka. Um, they've taken pretty significant casualties from all reports, and I'm not sure they've made much progress over the past few days. Most of this progress was a few days ago. Like what was it, like Saturday, I think. So that's more or less there. This forestry is getting more and more heavily bombed. Um, Beyond that, not really sure. I don't think there's any changes here. It's just getting really heavily bombed. Now, getting down to Sperna is also getting bombed pretty regularly. Russia is trying to move up this railroad, but they have not made much success. Um, they have not moved very far in a very long time. So just to kind of put this in perspective, I'm going to turn the tooltips on. So back here, so this was in February, and this back here was prior to February because I had to simplify my map because there's a loading problem. So there's a point where I had to simplify it. So this movement was in February. So from the beginning of like the beginning slash middle of February, they've gone from here to here, which is very impressive. How far is this? This is about almost 2 kilometers. It's probably more than two if you count the whole curve. But let's call it 2.5. 2.5 kilometers maybe is what they've done over the course of the past what was it, 7 months. Very impressive. So yeah, that's more or less all that's going on around here. They've been trying really hard to move up. They really want to get to Viimka, which is kind of the key because they can't take Sprena. They can't take Ivano-Derivka. They've tried really hard to take both. If you remember, at one point they had pushed all the way down to Ivano-Derivka, and they were assaulting somewhere around here, and they were eventually repelled all the way back. Sperna, they had at one point pushed to like over here, and then they're pushed back. So this whole area is pretty rock solid. Verkno-Kamyanska, there are all the videos that the K2 battalion has been putting out of these attacks were last year, but they're still relevant. Honestly, they first tried to push this way, and they were repelled. Then they tried pushing down this forest, and they were repelled. So Verkno-Kamyanska is a kind of a dead end. Sperna is a dead end. Ivano-Derivka is a dead end. Now they're trying to get to Viemka, which is kind of the key to everything. Viemka is incredibly important, but they've not been able to get past like here. So they're not even close to VMCO, to be honest. The Sele is another thing they really can't get past. They tried sidestepping it. There are these defended positions here that they're trying to sidestep past and move, bypass the town because the town is in a lowland. Oops, oh boy, what did I do? Go away. Click that. Okay, thank you. The town is in a lowland, so it's at the bottom of the valley. You can see the bottom of the valley is just like this green here. So right here is the top of a reasonably steep hill. So you can imagine that the town is not what you defend. You defend this reasonably steep hill that's right here, and it's kind of a U shape. So Russia has not been able to push anywhere around here for this reason. This hill. This hill guards not only Vasile, but it also guards kind of this path over here. And if you notice, there's another hill here. So this hill overlooks like both of these hills basically overlook each other, and they both overlook this kind of lowland here, and they both kind of overlook this lowland, and this train and this hill uh, overlook this position, and then there are more hills over here. There's another hill here, there's another hill there, another hill here, and they all overlook each other, which is why Russia can't move. So they all, like, anywhere you attack, you're gonna have a hill at least on two of your flanks, no matter where you go. Except here, where you have a train tracks on one of your flanks, which isn't any better.
I like hills. That makes me very happy.
Uh,
That's one of the better places. What? Sorry, I'm
that's fine.
isolating.
That's fine. I just think it's interesting that Mina was emailed a question for me. Mina was emailed a question for me. That's interesting. Okay.
I want to know how to email people questions for you. That's interesting.
We're gonna get to Avdiivka. Trust me, we're gonna get to Avdiivka. I just want to talk about this first. Okay, so that's kind of that. I just wanted to explain for the people. I haven't talked about why this line hasn't moved since like last year for a very long time, and I just wanted to all the people who missed out on why. That's why, because there's all these hills overlook each other, and this railway that's like impossible to move up, and on the other side of the railway you have a hill, and that's also impossible to move up. So that's why this whole area hasn't budged, and even in Sperna you have a hill above Sperna here, and above that you have a bunch of you have like these kind of cresty hills all along here as well. So this area here is a high ground, and Russia has tried moving down it, but the problem with moving along this high ground is that you have to move along high grounds to get there. And every time Russia does this, they have to start basically back here in Verkhnokamianka, in the Lysychansk oil refinery. So they have to start back here, and they have to move all the way down all these tree lines. And by the time they get here to attack, they're destroyed. So they basically can't get there. And they've tried so many times, and every time they lose all their vehicles, just trying to get into position to start attacking. This is where they get destroyed. They don't even get to attack. Okay, so this area north of Bakhmut, I have no news. Russia is pushing, south of Berhivka. I don't think there's much change here. I don't think anything has really changed, but they're basically trying to retake basically everything down to here, like these two little trees. They want to retake everything down to there. That's their goal. They have not been able to achieve it, but that's what they want to do. Now, around Bakhmut, in Klashivka, Russia has been doing their little counterattacks. Okay, so this is, I'm trying to remember the message that I got sent about Klashivka. I'm trying to remember the exact wording of it. I can't remember the wording, but the message of it was basically that Russia is repeatedly attacking and taking pretty heavy casualties, and they apparently have an endless horde of people willing to die. That was more or less the message. I can't remember the exact wording, but that was more or less the message that he had about Klashivka. He was pretty down. He was very his morale is not very high. He's basically saying that he's resigned to the fact that he is going to have to winter in this area, and wintering here is going to not be very fun because all the houses are no longer around. They're all destroyed. The basements are a disaster, and everything above ground is no man's land. There's no cover, there's no trees, there's no buildings, there's no walls. So it's just not the place you want to spend your winter. And he's kind of resigned to the fact that he is going to be like knee deep in mud in this little like corner of the inner circle of hell that is called Klashivka. And he's not psyched. I'll tell you that he's not happy. He's not a happy camper that this is what he's going to be dealing with for the next few months when the weather gets increasingly worse.
Andrew, I think your map is on the wrong date. Just FYI.
Oh, okay, sorry. Doesn't really make a difference. Nothing's really changed.
I was told to mention Berhivka.
Yeah, Berhivka. I just talked about Berhivka.
Somebody missed that.
Okay. Yeah, they're trying to push down to this tree line here. There was this raid. They pushed down into this raid. They took some POWs. I don't think it represents a change because we've heard from guys who are here, and the way they describe it is that Ukraine is using an elastic defense here, where they pretty much control these forests, which is why I have it this way. But whenever Russia attacks, they don't really put them up. They don't really put up much of a fight. They let Russia in, and then they shell them, and Russia leaves on their own, and then they take it back. And that's kind of what they're doing in this forested area. This raid was further south than we've seen previously. If we remember, there was the bonfire incident. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I sounded like an idiot. It was great. I think we all had a great laugh out of that.
Yeah, the bonfire was like right here. So this is not very far from the bonfire. So the bonfire incident was here. For the people who don't know, the Russians, they were building a bonfire, and they took in how would you describe it? An eclectic approach to the bonfire, where instead of building, yeah, they decided, heat rises, right? So
Smoke rises, importantly.
yeah. Smoke rises, heat rises. So say you wanted to cook some sausage, right? But you don't want to burn yourself. And you know that heat and smoke rises. So what you could do, if you were creative enough, you could put the fire above you and put your sausage on like a stick and stick it into the fire, right? So that's what these guys were trying. They decided, they built a bonfire on top of themselves, and they were cooking in it, right? And they suddenly got frightened by a spider, and they got out and they ran away. So that's what happened here. That was the bonfire incident.
This is gonna I'm never gonna live that down. Number one. Number two, I'm going to enjoy it more every single time you tell that story. So I hope that I don't live it down, because it was great, really great.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's Berhivka. That's really all I have to say. I'm not convinced this raid represents a change of position. I'm not convinced. I need more, because they've done these raids in the past, and every time they've done the raid, we've contacted guys, because we know guys fighting there. We contact them and we ask them, did you lose ground? Is everything okay? Like whatever. And they always say they attacked us and we took it back like a few hours later. That's what they always say. Like, so if I hear something else, then I'll change the map. But that's been the case every time so far. So that's kind of my default assumption at this point.
Which, I mean, if you're going to defend a place and you have them within range to hit them with artillery once they get there, why wouldn't you do that? It saves you casualties and you take out some of theirs. It's the perfect plan for that particular spot.
Yep. Yep. This guy, is they're afraid of spiders even with their AK. It just reminds me of the guy who was attacked by a drone, and his response was to shoot the drone with his gun. This was a bad idea. Didn't work out. Now for Andriivka, it's more or less the same as Klashivka. Um, it's basically the same situation where Klashivka, Ukraine, from what I understand, is more or less going on the defensive. They're taking a more defensive approach. They're kind of resigned to weathering winter. And in Klashivka, the same as more or less true around Andriivka, where they are preparing for a winter. Basically, that's more or less how I understand it. I'm sure there's still offensive actions going on. Like Ukraine is trying to cross the railroad and establish on the other side. I don't think they actually have done so yet, but they have tried to do that south of Klashivka. They are trying to get to Zelenopilia, to because if you get there, Radiometer is basically done. So they are doing these offensive actions, but I think these offensive actions are getting smaller in scale, and I think Ukraine is basically going to have to defend what they have over the winter as Russia desperately tries to take it back. So going to the south, I have no news around this area, around Toretsk and Pivnichna and all these areas. I don't know of any news. So same around New York. So now we're getting to Avdiivka. The people are very interested in Avdiivka. So I guess I'll tell the story the way I encountered it today. So here's the story. I wake up really late in compared to everybody else, even though I don't really wake up that late. I woke up at like 7:30 today, so it wasn't that late. But
You almost
compared to
always,
Europe,
yeah, you almost always beat me out of bed, and there's almost always somebody that beats both of us in Europe, which is very frustrating for both of
well,
us.
yeah. I mean, I wake up at like even when I wake up at 6 a.m., that's like noon in Europe. so so it's like everybody. I'm just saying that no matter how early I wake up, I'm many hours behind everybody else because a lot of these people are like if you're in like Germany or like Poland or whatever, you're like so many hours ahead of me. Like it's not fair. It's hard to
It
compete.
begs the question why you even sleep. Like, why do you and I sleep, Andrew?
That's
Like,
the
we
problem.
shouldn't, really.
If I didn't
It's the
sleep, it'd
real
be so
issue,
much easier. But
right?
so I was trying to say that I did not read this in real time. I read this in a panic trying to catch up to real time, even though I was many hours behind and many thousands of messages I had to read very quickly. So I'm just so okay. So I didn't read this in real time, but I did sort of get the benefit of being able to read all of it at once without having gaps. So that's a benefit, I guess. So I was just gonna tell you what I saw this morning when I was reading the news, because I obviously I knew something was going on in Avdiivka. So I focused reading the news from Avdiivka. I really focused on it, and this is what I got. So early in the morning, Russia did an artillery preparation of Avdiivka, and also yeah, it was artillery first. So they launched a large artillery barrage. Now, from what I understand, they largely focused on the Coke plant. We're not talking Coca Cola, by the way. They make Coke. Um, anyways, so they're focusing on the Coke plant, from what I understand, and they were really interested on the Coke plant. I think they were also shelling kind of this area around like a Stepove or whatever. I can never remember how to pronounce that. and probably up here too, and probably around here too. So, and I think also they also said around the city of Avdiivka. So it's probably anyway. There are shelling a lot. I read. Well, they said that they're shooting 200 guns basically as quickly as they could load them. So that's like a lot of shelling. Um, so that's how it started. It was shelling, and then they started dropping bombs from their airplanes in basically all the same areas, the coke plant, Avdiivka, and all these other towns. So they're basically dropping bombs and artillerying. And then at that point, there were some people coming up with this idea that if we are shelling this heavily, or we being Russia, so all of this is from the perspective of Russia. So if Russia is shelling this heavily and bringing in this many aircraft, then it's likely they're going to do a ground assault. Probably, and this that probably in the next day or two there'd be a ground assault. If you did this level of shelling, that they would expect this level of shelling for a few days, followed by a ground assault. And people were then debating on where the ground assault would come from. Some people were saying that you could do a ground assault that would bypass Stepove or Stepova, or I can't remember how to say the town. Anyway, they want to bypass it and move around it, and they were debating on whether it would be better to bypass it to the north or to the south. So that was a debate. There were all other people saying that you could do an infantry assault into kind of this area, which is like opposite the coke plant, and then attack the coke plant. Others saying that you could go straight south, and others saying that you could attack kind of this area up here, kind of go into Novokalinova and kind of go around this way. So these are all different ideas and debates that were going on. Then you had some people saying that the shelling is it's not increasing intensity. It's maintaining its intensity throughout the course of the morning. And there were rumors that Russia was doing a recon by force in various areas. They said that there was recon by force, or recon in force around Krasnohorivka, which satisfied people's their ideas. They wanted to move around Stepova and kind of get to the backside of it somehow, either through north or south. So people were very excited when they started hearing that there's recon force around Krasnohorivka. And then there were some rumors around Vodiana. And also there were rumors that they were going to imminently begin attacking the coke plant. So everybody was getting very excited. So then, as a few hours went on, there were some rumors started coming out that that they had already reached Berdichi or Berdicha. I don't know. I have no idea how to say his name. I'm just gonna say Berdichi. That's how I'm going with it. If it's wrong, get over it. Anyways, so Berdichi, Berdichi. That's where we're going with Berdichi. They said that they had reached the outskirts of the town, and that they would begin the assault on the town imminently. Then they kind of took it back a little bit. They said, actually, we haven't reached the town, but we could reach it soon. And then they said, but actually, you should take anything anyone says with a grain of salt, because in the past, we have announced victories before they happened, and every time we did, it came back to bite us in the butt, and it was embarrassing, and we shouldn't do that anymore. So all of that was kind of going on. Then, out of nowhere, Cryboy entering the stage, like the Kool-Aid man, just bursting through the wall. He's like, guys, I got news. We captured Berdichi. We captured it. We surrounded. That's a cauldron now. It's a cauldron. Avdiivka is a cauldron. We captured it, and not only that, we didn't only capture it. We pushed through a pitna. We're going into Savierna. It's a whole cauldron. We're here. We're there. We're capturing. We're winning. Okay. So that
I,
was the news.
I need to point out that you're a really great storyteller, and I'm appreciating this. Thank you.
Thank you. This was how I came across all the news today. So up until Cryboy, all the news was, so I don't follow so many stupid people. I kind of try to avoid the stupid people because they're stupid. I try to follow more the smarter people. Um, so I'm sure the stupider people are saying all sorts of stupid things because that's what they do, right? So but the smarter people, they were reserved, kind of collected. They kind of figured that the things going on in Avdiivka were a process that would take a few days to unfold, and everything was kind of calm and measured at that point until Cryboy entered the stage. He just burst through the wall and said, "We did it. We captured everything. We won." When he did that, it kind of went off the rails because all those people who were relaxed before, they started spouting what Cryboy was saying. They started saying, it, you know, Cryboy says that we're here, so that means we're there. It's a cauldron now. Avdiivka is ours. It's gonna collapse. All the soldiers are gonna retreat or something, and they're gonna surrender. You know, and then they're saying like, you know, maybe Cryboy is exaggerating things, but we've had a major victory today, etc., etc. They started posting videos. Some of the videos, or not they, Ukraine started posting videos, which were pretty funny. There's this video in particular, which I really want to show it because it's it's one of my favorite videos that's come out of this war. It's so funny. Okay, let's go. Okay. And, uh-oh. Okay, so there are levels there are levels of stupid to this that are not immediately obvious. Okay.
Isn't it supposed to be pointing that way?
Okay. I'm gonna go through all of the levels of stupid that this is. And I want you to know all of the levels because there are so many levels of stupid. Okay. So first off, this attack, this happened right here. Okay. So this is in Vodiana. I can't remember when it was, honestly. It was this year because I talked about it on the stream and we didn't start streaming until January. So it was this year. I just can't remember when. It's probably like March or something. I can't remember. But Russia did a massive attack through Vodiana on this road where they kept pumping vehicles down this road. Some of them are coming this way and going up, and some are going down this road. And I want you to know, I'm gonna go to 3D. We're going to 3D. You need to understand how stupid this is. It's like, it's so funny. Okay, so it's just this is the perspective of Ukraine. Okay, so at when they did this offensive that I'm talking about right now is when they captured this tree line. So this tree line was in Ukrainian control because the front line was around here back then. Okay, so this is the perspective that Ukraine had. So they could set up ATGMs like right here, and they can see you driving down this road, this giant, flat, perfectly straight road, all the way into town, and they can see you. Do you notice how this is that This is that road that all those vehicles were just on, and like he fell off like right here. So they could see you up to there, and then there's a blind spot, and then once you crest this little bump, they can see you driving all the way down to here. So they can see. Also, that's this whole trench system doesn't hurt them. So they could basically see everything except like right here, just from that one ATGM position. I just imagine that they had ATGMs there and here and like over here where they could see like this, and they had ATGMs everywhere. Okay. Also over here, you had ATGMs looking like that. You had ATGMs along this tree line looking this way. Okay. So Ukraine could see like basically this whole arc could see this advance. And Russia took horrendous casualties doing this over and over and over again. It got to the point where they lost so many vehicles on this road that they couldn't use the road anymore. And they had to take another route. And I still have this route saved uh, in Google Earth because I have it saved as quote marine videos, because there was a video that I showed in a prior stream. I can't remember which stream it was, but it was a prior stream. I went like frame by frame through this video, but the Russians, they did the same thing. So the beginning of the video is here. They drove like down like this. They took a left because they couldn't take that road anymore because it was too full of destroyed vehicles. So they took a left. They went over here. They crossed the stream here. They drive up this road. So this is when the second part of the video started. So there's one part of the video showed them moving up like that, and the second part was filmed like from this vantage point, and they destroyed one tank here. Then they destroyed a BMP, another tank, another BMP, and another tank. Because what Russia did is they basically drove like this down up here, took a left, and were trying to go this way, and they were all destroyed. So that is just an example of what they were doing here. So
I'm reliably informed that that was in July. Just FYI.
July? No way.
That's what I hear.
Because they were wearing gloves. That was no. There's no way that was July. No way.
Oh,
No,
man.
because
It
that
was reliable
no,
information.
because I
Like
know
black-
the brigade. The brigade that did this were the 36th Marines, and the 36th Marines in July were attacking here. The 36th Marines were
You
like
said
they're
53rd.
fighting.
Is there a different one?
That video was the 36th Marines because
Oh.
there was a 36 because they're fighting in like Makarivka, and they're fighting like over here in July. There's no, and also they were wearing like winter clothing that Constantine had given them.
So
It was like March.
Is there possibly three? Like one in July as well?
I mean, I'm sure they've attacked in July, but
Okay.
I'm talking about
Anyway.
a really enormous assault that they did in like it was like late winter, early spring. Because the 36th Marines were there because I know people who like I know like the drone operator, and I know some of the people who were there and filming it.
I will give my reliable information source a kick in the butt.
Yeah, and they were wearing like Constantine's gloves, and Constantine was really happy about that. Like I showed him the video, and I was like, "Look at all these tanks they blew up." He was like, "Yeah, I don't care, but look at those gloves."
To be fair, that's totally what I would have done out of the video. Good job, Constantine.
Yeah, it happened in winter, but it happened or early spring, but it happened while we were streaming because I did a stream about it, and I didn't start streaming until January. So it was this year. I just don't. It was either January, February, or March.
The reliable source just joined Discord.
It was Gick, wasn't it?
My reliable source.
So yeah, there were in fact 3 of those attacks. I remember I was sitting with Djibouti. We were mixing all those videos which came out in winter together because that was absolutely nuts. That was a tremendous loss. But also in July, the 53rd Brigade foiled a mechanized attack here. I think it was around 9 BMPs or something like that, which they destroyed.
Yeah, the 9 BMPs, yeah.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, this area, they tested it 2 times, so I guess the 3rd time would work.
Yeah. So, getters just, so that's one level of stupid, okay? There's another level of stupid that I want to touch on. So, this vehicle, it tipped over on a bridge, right? People saw this and thought, oh, there's a bridge. There must be like a gap. There's a gap, right? Okay, so let's zoom in. Go away. Let's zoom in. So this ground isn't flat, right? And this is okay, so a few things. First, obviously, Google Earth doesn't perfectly represent the Earth, especially on this scale. It doesn't have the resolution. But, oh God, what's going on? There's so many things happening. Okay, but there's no like ditch here. There is a slight bump in the road. Like, it's not perfectly flat. There's a slight bump, and that's what you see in the video. You see this very slight bump. It's like right here. Okay, but it's not ditch. It's just a slight bump in the road. This bridge, I remember Russia kept attacking here over and over again, and Ukraine kept posting videos of them getting destroyed. Like they would destroy like 3 or 4 of them at a time, and they kept attacking. And I remember in one of the videos there was just suddenly a bridge layer with a bridge was just destroyed, like right here, like right around here, or maybe like over here. It was like, but it was on this road. It was just destroyed there. And then at some other point in the future, like later after that, the bridge layer was gone, but the bridge had been deployed just like in the side of the road. Like it was like literally like right here, just the bridge. And at some point they like, I guess, towed it. They like brought it over here, and they just to get it out of the way, like they just towed it like over here. So now there's just a bridge there. This isn't like a bridge over something. It's literally just in the way. Okay, so this bridge, he's not taking a bridge to avoid an obstacle. This is literally just a bridge there for no reason. It's because the bridge layer was destroyed. They're like bringing the bridge to put somewhere else. I think the bridge was meant to, it may have been meant to go over this stream, or it may have been meant to go over here somewhere. Like, I don't know where, but I think it was either meant for that stream or to go over here somewhere. But not for here. It's just here because it's just happenstance, because they don't know what to do with it. It's just the bridge stuck. Oh God, just a video of just gunfire just started. It's very loud. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's very loud to me. Let's stop it. So, is there anything else I'm missing, Gick? So this. Oh, the other thing that makes this stupid. The vehicle type. So this is like a column of vehicles, right? So we could look at this column. That's a BMP, BMP, tank, I think it's a BMP, a tank or something, and a tank. So the vehicle in the front, what would you put in the front, Gick, of your column?
If I were a Russian?
Yeah, if you were attacking somewhere, what would be your preferred point vehicle? Like your first one in combat.
I don't think there are any tanks in it. Oh, there are tanks in the column.
Tanks.
Then I would have the tank go first.
Yeah, you'd have the tank go first. Would you
or the
have
I3, but
or maybe the BMP? You could just have a sacrificial BMP, because I think this is a BMP2 and that might be a BMP1. I'm not sure. Maybe you just throw your BMP1 in the front just to see what happens, right? Who knows? Russia doesn't roll like that. You know how Russia rolls? They put They put a Brem 2 recovery vehicle based on the BMP chassis. So it's kind of like a sacrificial BMP. But it's a BMP with a crane on top instead of a gun on top. That was their vehicle. So these are so this is a Brem 2. This is a Brem 2. Okay. Oh boy, what did I click? So it is a armored recovery vehicle. It is a BMP with a crane on top. And that's their point vehicle. That is, they said, we're gonna charge into combat, and the thing we want going first is an armored recovery vehicle. And you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna drive onto a bridge to nowhere on flat ground and tip over.
I mean, to be fair, it's still pretty far from the actual front line. You don't know if he would remained on front or if he had any sort of purpose, on the way to the front line. But
I would consider
also,
this the front line.
And one more thing is that I think we have seen that now the third time in the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. This is even the first time. This is like their new strategy. This is like the new thing. Just throw your recovery vehicle straight into combat. So this is 1.5 kilometers behind the front line, but it's 1.5 kilometers back on a flat, wide open nothing where you're visible on 270 degrees. So you are back. You're not, but are you back if you're visible from every angle already?
Well, most certainly not. At the same time, maybe that was the best strategy because everyone who saw it, and a lot of people would have seen that, they laughed, right? they might have been out of combat for 5 minutes.
The worst part, I mean, okay, so I think it totaled the Brem. I'm not sure because the crane on the Brem is it's not very strong. I'm not talking structurally. I mean just like it's not really held in place very well. So when it tipped over, it just wildly flung out of control with gravity, and it pointed straight down, and then it landed on it. So I think the arm is broken, and without that arm, what is even the point? It's a tank with a crane on top, and you broke the crane. So now it's just a tank without a gun.
Did it really need the crane though in its role there?
Well,
if it's the point vehicle, I guess fuck the crane.
Well, maybe they put a bayonet on the end, and that was its primary weapon.
Or maybe it was actually pulling the entire column. all those vehicles were actually out of order.
They were a sacrifice. They were a gift to Ukraine, and look what they did.
Just to be clear, they will need another Brem to pull out the first Brem, correct?
Yes, but why would you? You're gonna send another Brem to the front line to pull out a Brem. And then the second Brem's gonna get popped.
Exit, you're looking at it the wrong way. They just need 2 or 3 more vehicles until they don't need the bridge anymore. That's the way to look at it.
But it's the bridge is on flat ground though.
Yeah, the best part of the bridge is that it actually makes it even more likely that you're going to get stuck there, because there's not it creates this weird little pocket that didn't even have to exist. You could have just gone down the dip and back up the other side. But now there's this weird pocket where you can't even maneuver. And if you get in there, you're screwed. You're totally screwed. The bridge is extra great.
Okay, so believe it or not, they did continue past the fallen Brem somehow, and
Well, because
they.
it was taking up the hole, so now nobody else could fall into the hole. It was great.
Oh
It was
boy, how does
actually a
this?
safety feature.
How did that one not load? Whatever. Sometimes I shouldn't ask questions, but they moved on up. I think this video is safe to show, right? There's nothing in this video. Oh boy, I should open it. There's no different way. Um, so they moved on up. They dismounted tons of infantry, just lots of infantry. Um, in of note, they were using MTLBs as their transport, which I mean, it is a troop transport. Typically, I think more typically you would use a BMP for this role, but you know, whatever. Using MTLBs. This is a lot of infantry, as you can see. It's a low quality video, but you see, I don't know, what was this, like 30 guys or something? So that is that. So this is the attack from Vodiana. I'd like to keep in mind that Russia had very recently attacked Ukrainians who are in this tree line. I think that was just a few days ago, right? I can't remember what day that was. Oh, okay. So it was a week ago. They were shelling Ukrainians along this tree line. So I don't know if Ukraine actually controls that tree line. I don't really know. I do remember I made the smallest map edit ever because I was really not thinking Ukraine had actually moved up this far. But they were getting shelled there, so I made just that tiny map edit. So, what else is there to say? Gek, do you have anything else to say about Vodiana?
About that angle, well, actually, there are still a couple of videos in the pipeline, and I'm not 100% sure if the locations are correct because the orientation on one of the destroyed vehicles does appear to maybe be the other way around. So it could be that after leaving Vodiana that they actually split, and maybe one grouping was going further to the west, and one grouping was basically bugged down exactly where we located it. It does, like, the setup of both groupings would be almost identical, which is why I thought that it might be the same place. But there were some remarks on another Discord that it might actually be two different groupings. That's just for transparency. So the locations might be a bit off, but we will probably only find out once Ukraine publishes the bigger picture videos.
Yeah, which I'm sure will come relatively quickly. So that was the big attack in the south. So now they also did something around Krasnohorivka. I don't know how to describe it because I don't think it was actually an attack, from what I can tell. There was a BMP damaged and abandoned. There was a BMP 1 destroyed. There was another BMP damaged and abandoned. And there was this column of vehicles moving forward. And in this column, I'm not sure what that is. That's a tank. I'm not sure what that is. That looks like a BMP. Oh, is that tank? Tank? I'm not sure. Anyways, it's kind of hard to tell. But so this is a column of vehicles moving forward. They were moving along this tree line here towards Novokalinove. So they could be attacking north, where we did see a BMP-1 destroyed. Or they could have just been driving this way. Who knows? I'm not really sure where they were going. So they seem to be grouping forces in the north, and in Vodiana, they did this little attack.
I can actually tell that they didn't attack. Like, that staging was not for an attack. You know how?
Why?
There's no Bram.
Yeah, there's no Brem. They're not. How can you attack without a Brem? A Brem has to be your point man. So
Yeah, someone in chat suggested that the point vehicle could actually be a loaf, which I find to be an even better idea. So,
It'd be a combat loaf. You know what? In those big Ukrainian assaults where everybody talks about how they lost all of those vehicles in the minefield, like the Leopards and the Bradleys, etc. I don't hear so many people talking about how a very significant portion of those vehicles that they used in that assault were all pickup trucks. And I'm just saying, you don't see any destroyed pickup trucks around those tanks. Just saying. Because
If those pickup trucks were Toyota Hilux, I guarantee you they'd drive through anything.
the it all those images you see, like you see, what was that, like 6 Bradleys and like a bunch of Leopards. They're all like damaged and abandoned together. Well, in the video of those vehicles getting damaged, there were like 20 pickup trucks, and you don't see any pickup trucks. So all the pickup trucks made it. So I'm thinking if you had a battle loaf, especially the armored battle loaf, maybe it would be a good point vehicle.
we shouldn't have said that now. Crap. It's over.
So anyways, we were talking about the having a point vehicle be a recovery vehicle. We're joking about this attack near Novomykolaiv, where in IMR2 decided that sticking to the road is for lamos, and he decided to go off-roading directly into a minefield. So that's what he did. His tank friend that was right behind him didn't fare better, even though he did stick to the road. So maybe he was smart for leaving the road. I don't know. And the BMP2 behind the tank was abandoned. So that was this attack here, near Novomykolaiv. I could not figure out exactly how this attack went, because I can find all of this on satellite, but I can't find the initial start point. I don't know where they started. I think what they did is they drove up this tree line and then crossed and went like this, and then that one tank, or the one part, went up north. I think that's what happened. I think that was the attack, but I'm not positive. All we know is that they drove through one of these T intersections that looks like this. But anyways, I don't really know what else to say about Avdiivka. There's going to be ongoing battles. Ukraine did lose positions. I don't know which positions there are, but it's been confirmed they lost positions. I assume the positions they lost were frontline trenches and stuff, which you're kind of supposed to lose in an attack. You don't really hold the front line. You use the front line more as like a recon, to figure out where the enemy is going to go, and then you pull out to your second line, and the second line is what you usually defend. So losing the front line is basically by plan, is like this was supposed to happen. So it's not really a big deal to lose those. You figure that if you can repel the attack, you can take back that line afterwards. So yeah, I don't know of any major penetrations. I do know that this afternoon, some of my contacts in Ukraine were very worried, and tonight they were not worried at all anymore. They found it funny at that point. So yeah, that's all I can really say about Avdiivka until we get more information. Okay, so south of Avdiivka, there Russia was shelling near Krasnohorivka. Gik obnoxiously made me map each individual artillery shell.
No, that's not all. In the last one I mentioned and more.
Yeah. So, yeah, there were a lot more. This is probably about half of the artillery shells. uh, anyways, so yeah, I don't really have any news about any of these areas. We just talked about the Krasnohorivka attack. The a few days ago, I made some green eyeballs. If you remember, these green eyeballs were that assault. Gek, I don't know if you pieced that together. It's not a big ask to piece that one together. It doesn't take a genius. But these green eyeballs, when I was talking about how this area was getting really heavily shelled, etc., that was the Russian attack. The attack was like on the 4th, I think.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this like 2 weeks ago, or maybe even further back. Every time we see those eyeballs, and especially if we see so many of them,
No,
it's
sorry,
like
it was the 25th.
it's like a 100% chance that I will geolocate videos there in the coming days.
Yeah. So the attack was the 25th. I remember now. And the next set of green eyeballs we had showed exactly where all this attack was. Now, I don't put green eyeballs on fires, on grass fires, because I figure grass fires could be anything. They could just be natural. It could be artillery. I don't mark grass fires. If I did mark grass fires, the entire map would be green eyeballs because all of Ukraine caught on fire at some point. But yeah, these green eyeballs that appeared on the 30th, because I believe the attack was the 25th, and then a few days later, we got more green eyeballs on the 5th, which there was probably a second attack. Maybe we'll get more video, actually. Okay, so I wonder if there's any other green eyeballs we missed. It's sad that we're probably not going to get any more green eyeballs. These are probably the last green eyeballs of the green eyeball season. It's sad. We loved them while we had them, though. Near Mikilska, we've been steadily improving our knowledge of Ukrainian positions here. So at first, Ukraine was getting shelled there, and then they're getting shelled there, and then they're getting shelled there. So, and then they're still getting shelled. So that was interesting. Anyways, so I have no other particular information about really anywhere in the south. There's been very little. I know that Russia is attacking Staromayorsky. I do think that they're attacking this way. I honestly think Ukraine probably is over here. I'm just too chicken to mark it because we don't have any video. All we have is green eyeballs. Speaking of green eyeballs, we had green eyeballs of attacks here and here. I really pretty strongly feel that Ukraine controls this. Either that or Russia did a large attack here trying to push east. One or the other. Anyways, Russia is attacking Levadna, but with no known changes. And and around Novoprokopivka, I don't know of any changes. We keep getting videos from Novoprokopivka. Was this yesterday? Russia posted a video where they said that they raided Rabatina. And we kind of squinted our eyes and said, Russia attacked Rabatina? What? And then you look at the video, you realize that it's actually in Novoprokopivka. So there's that. Yeah. So I don't know what else. What else, Kick?
Well, I think the only thing that you could say is that the Russians were posting several videos from that house there, which they raided. And in one of the videos, they said that it was cleaning the house from Ukrainians.
Yep.
And the video which came out today, which shows the shelling around that area,
Mm-hmm.
it more or less said that it was 2 days ago or so when Ukrainians made it into Novoprokopivka. So it's not entirely unlikely that there were some elements which at least, spearheaded into that village. But
Yeah.
it doesn't look like there was any solid gain.
No. And part of the problem is that moving down this tree line here is brutally difficult because it's not really a tree line. There's no cover. Just getting to Novoprokopivka is kind of a nightmare. And that, I think that's the issue that Ukraine is having right now. It's like, how do you get to the town? Once you're in the town, you might be able to do something, but how do you get there? You can't really use vehicles. You have to go by foot. And all the routes by foot are basically crossing multiple kilometers of wide open nothingness. Anyways, so I don't really know what else to say. I think that's pretty much all the news. I think we covered it, unless you think I missed something.
Oh yeah, I marked something today between Finland and Estonia.
Oh yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, the sabotage of the pipeline.
Yeah, which might still become relevant. So I decided, let's put it on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracies around this. I'm curious which conspiracy is gonna be true. What do you think? Which conspiracy do you think is gonna be true?
I don't know, maybe German revenge. German revenge against the evil. Well, actually,
my favorite conspiracy is that China did it to damage Europe's competitiveness.
Oh yeah, that seems likely. But anyway, it's in the water. I want to hear what Exit thinks.
Yep, you're the water expert.
We're all in trouble. I haven't seen any of the conspiracies today because I intentionally stayed away from them. Because I'm unfortunately this weirdo who likes facts. So when Andrew says they're starting a bonfire, I'm like, oh, a bonfire. That sounds great. But anyways, so yeah, it's interesting to me that we still don't have like Nord Stream happened. Is it a full year ago now? At any rate, long enough ago that we should have answers, and we still don't have like concrete answers that are actually announced by governments and people trying to hold each other accountable for that. And I kind of like this is going to be the exact same thing. The only advantage, if there is one to this, is that it's in a way more like there's more traffic in this particular spot. So maybe somebody will have some kind of coverage that kind of points out exactly what happened, but I don't know. I don't like speculating on these particular attacks because I think that it's likely that we're going to see an increase of these types of attacks because they're really hard to guard against. And I feel like people just don't realize how susceptible we are to these kinds of attacks right now, and the kind of damage that they can actually do. So it, if anything, I'm just like concerned that people aren't paying more attention to it and that we still don't have answers to the first one. And we clearly aren't stopping them from happening in the future because this is a new one that just happened. So I'm the bummer to all the joking around about it, unfortunately. Although I do really appreciate the joking around, and especially the China thing. That's hilarious. I can't even imagine how somebody came up with that, but that's great.
So
I think
here's a comment about China. Um, China destroyed it, destroyed Nord Stream as well. It was the most cunning master plan. They learned it from Littlefinger that a man with no motive is a man no one suspects.
Well, I mean, honestly, in some ways it'd be a great play because it has all of these European countries pointing the finger at each other and at Russia, and it just creates more chaos. Um, and if anybody benefits from chaos, it's generally China in this. So nothing would surprise me about that at all.
Well, I mean, personally, I think that obviously we're getting closer to winter season, so I can only assume the gas or the pipeline is buzzing. But also, what I think will be very interesting is the fact that both Estonia and Finland have a way more, let's call it, aggressive posture towards Russia than Germany has. So, in terms of the way they make public statements. So I think in this instance, if there's anything pointing towards Russia, I think you will hear a lot more about that than what you heard of out of Germany.
I totally agree with that. Like, Estonia, especially, they have been completely, I mean, I shouldn't say especially, Finland has too, but Estonia is like very much on the front foot and aggressively helping Ukraine with pretty much anything that they can help them with, all the way from helping Mikhailo Fedorov and like their developments with DIA and kind of digitizing their economy and all of these other things, to weapons and other like more army related stuff, military related stuff. So they are not going to be quiet about this if they come up with evidence. If anything, I found it really interesting that Finland kind of walked back their really aggressive statements, and then decided to like, well, we're just going to put out a statement. We're not necessarily going to do a press conference and these types of things. That was the impression that that was specifically Finland that chose to do that.
Estonia just is not friends with Russia. They don't like them.
Can't blame them.
But I'm looking at the chat. There's Ukraine is pushing towards Kopani. They're shelling now along this tree line where in the past they have shelled there before. Maybe I should mark it as Ukrainian controlled now. The last time they shelled there, I assumed Ukraine may have moved there and then maybe they're pushed out. I don't know. But now they're shelling again. Maybe Ukraine is actually there. I don't know. Maybe I won't market it this time either. I don't know. But they are pushing towards Kopani. They're still very far away. So that was. And there's another question about the Patriot and Iris T. I don't. Is there like a new deal for that, or is this the same deal as we talked about last time?
Germany announced a new package today leading up to the next defense ministers conference. And so they've said they are going to provide a full Patriot battery I won't remember the rest of it in detail, but there's an IRST, a couple Gepards, a whole bunch of other information out there. I have it on my timeline if you're looking for it.
But this was all the stuff they had already promised, right? So it just
No. Well,
is this
kind
an
of, yes.
addition? Is it in addition, or is it just because they?
I think there had been some like rumors about stuff that they were gonna do, but this is like the official announcement of exactly what is included in the package, and it's a sizable package and definitely going to be helpful. I don't think anybody specifically knows exactly where the Patriot will go, but there's lots of people saying, well, Kyiv already has two, so it's more likely to go somewhere like Odessa
It
or
needs 3.
sorry,
It needs 3.
maybe.
I think what they're gonna do is what's the other one called, a SAMT? I think they're going to put the Patriot wherever the SAMT is, and then move the SAMT somewhere else.
I
Which
think
makes
John suggested that they will move the S-300 once the Patriots arrive.
Yeah, so you put the Patriot where the SAMT is, and then you put the SAMT somewhere else, and then you take whatever was there and move it somewhere else. I think that would mean you.
be great for down at Odessa because it can deal with the Onyx, is my understanding from John, which is kind of the main issue in Odessa right now. It's the one munition that seems to get through pretty consistently.
Yeah, it's very fast.
Very. It's interesting what they target with it. Like for a munition that you know is going to get through.
It also has terrible accuracy.
Well,
Let's not forget that.
but like, why shoot it at a granary? Like that's a fairly expensive munition that has a high success rate. A storage warehouse full of grain isn't your biggest payoff available with that particular munition. It's wildly bizarre to me. I don't get it.
Thank you, Dimitri. He gave us a present.
Excellent.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It goes towards paying for server costs for our map. That's what most of the money goes, all the money really goes to at this point. Yeah. Anyways, so that's cool. It's nice to give air defense, and I don't know if there's any details about this, and I don't really know anything about Romania, but it did seem that Zelensky went to Romania today, and then afterwards he came out saying that he had good news about air defense. So, what does that mean? Does that mean, is Romania going to send all their Patriots?
Well, you could probably protect the Danube ports out of Romania at least.
Oh, you could if Romania wanted to. So here's a thing. Just I'm not even saying it's a problem. It's just a thing. Imagine this scenario. Imagine Romania shot an interceptor into Ukraine. It missed and landed on civilians and killed people. Just imagine the scenario. What would happen?
I mean, is that any different than when we saw a Ukrainian interceptor end up in Poland?
No, it's not different. It's just a thing that I think about. I'm not saying it's a major problem, but it's just
I thought of that, like in the beginning of the war. I was always wondering why the Patriots in Poland don't intercept, anything that's going towards Lviv. I thought about that too a lot, and I really think that NATO simply assumed that that's too far in the direction of participating in the war. I personally feel like there should be some sort of communique between, the countries and Ukraine about what exactly happens in case one intercept goes wrong, or in case an intercept leads to a, it still needs to get to the ground, so it could still cause damage. So there just needs to be some joint understanding and communique. I always considered it weak that it didn't happen, because both in Poland, at the times when the Russians were still launching massive missile attacks out of Belarus, and in Romania, NATO could actually protect a lot of airspace without technically risking their own assets.
Yeah, and it's even wilder because Romania has been getting hit by Russian stuff. Also, thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. He gave $10 for the server. It's very kind of you, Bobby. Thank you. But yeah, Romania's getting. It's not like Poland. Well, they kind of did get hit by a missile, but we don't talk about that because it's inconvenient to admit that a Russian missile flew all the way across Poland and crashed on the other side of Poland without anyone noticing. It's embarrassing. But
Are you convinced that they didn't notice?
What's that?
Are you convinced that they didn't notice?
I don't know for sure that they didn't notice, but honestly, I think they didn't notice. I really think they did not notice it. I feel like if they noticed, didn't it take them like 2 or 3 months to even find the missile?
Yeah, something like that. But I think there's a decent enough chance that they did notice, but either they assumed that it might have been a stray rocket by Ukraine entering the airspace, or
it was a
they
cruise
just
missile.
didn't want to make a fuss about it.
It was a cruise missile.
Yeah.
It was a cruise missile with a dummy warhead in place of a nuclear warhead. Oh, just keep that in mind. Thank you, Luis. Yeah, and you don't have to feel like you have to donate money to us. It's just if you want to and you have the extra few dollars, it's cool. You don't have to feel like you have to. We're not like about to starve to death or anything. It's just it's nice that people help cover the costs, but thank you.
I think to your point earlier, though, Gick, if let's say you have NATO air defense set up on the Romanian side of the Danube, if you're shooting down Shaheds or missiles that are headed for Ukrainian ports, I think there's an argument that Russia will make that means that those air defense units should be a viable target because they're defending against their munitions. And I think that's what NATO's trying to avoid. I have lots of feeling that.
Are you suggesting that the risk is that they shoot something into Romania?
No, I'm saying that like if NATO's taking down targets that are in Ukrainian airspace. Oh, sorry. Then yes, I'm saying that Russia could potentially say, well, okay, well, if you're using your air defense but from NATO territory, then it becomes a target that we will actively target.
Exactly. But they already shot into Romania. So, it's always the question of what comes first.
Yeah.
And
until you can prove that it wasn't an accident, though,
that like Russia intentionally did it and they actually do damage with that, I just don't think you're going to get NATO to take that step forward.
At the same time, to protect the NATO territory, you could argue that in order to make sure no damage is done to NATO territory, the missile or the drone needs to be destroyed prior to entering NATO airspace.
Yeah, I think that's a good argument personally. I think that you could say we will only shoot down objects that are on a trajectory to enter our airspace. So basically, you would limit yourself to shooting all of these, like all these ports. They're like right next to Romania, and like you wouldn't even like cover like over here. Like you would just cover like Ismail and Reni and anything where the trajectory is entering Romanian airspace. I think you could say that and get away with it. I think it would be perfectly rational for a country that has had actual weapons land on their territory to say that they will shoot anything that appears to be entering their territory and nothing else.
Yeah, and to be clear, like I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. I'm just saying I don't know that I believe NATO will actually go that far.
Oh, they never
If
will. They're cowards. They'll never win. They like I'm pretty sure Russia could shoot into Romania, and I don't think Romania would respond.
I think if NATO was going to do something that would be very hard for Russia to construe as an aggressive act in any way, I think the first thing they would do is work on mine clearance in the waters just off the entrances to the Danube there, because that's becoming a like legitimate issue. There are ships. There was a ship hit last week there. There's more and more mines needing to be cleared there. Just today, they announced that Turkey, Romania, and Bulgaria are going to start start doing joint mine clearance in and around that area. And there's an argument for them to go just north of that a little bit into some Ukrainian waters, because technically the ship that was hit last week was actually in Ukrainian water. I think that would be the first step that NATO would kind of edge into this idea of acting to protect NATO assets, even though they would have to act in Ukrainian water. I think that that's more likely than the air defense thing. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do the air defense. I just don't think they're going to.
Oh, they're not going to. They're not going to. If they were going to, they would have already. But then, yeah. I think they could. I think they could, and Russia wouldn't do anything. I think Russia would just acknowledge it.
I mean, they haven't even shot down targets that we know have flown over have reportedly flown over Romanian airspace. So if they're not even going to do that, you're not going to get them to shoot anything down over Ukrainian airspace.
Yeah. I didn't actually know whether it was possible to go into the Danube without going into Ukrainian water, but you can, can't you? I never actually looked.
Yep. The majority of the ships, I think the majority of the ships are actually in Romanian water when they go in, is my understanding. But there's lots of, that whole area is like the Danube estuary. So there's tons of different entrances into it. It's not just one or the other. Selena, which is, so that one, the larger entrance that's just north of there, that's the most common one, is my understanding.
Yeah, I figured this would be the main entrance, but this would be Ukrainian water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I figured like I don't really pay attention to this. You could probably tell, but I figured that this would be the main one because it just looks like it would be. Like it just looks like an
Mhm.
inviting shape. Um,
Totally. Well, and it's dredged out. It's deeper than everything else.
right. So and thank you for the donation. Thank you. Um, so I don't know what else to talk about. We've been going for like almost 2 hours. So I feel like we should end because everybody always says like the streams are like way too long.
There's just one more thing, Andrew.
Okay. Oh, there's the airplanes. We didn't talk about the airplanes.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing.
Yeah, there were 2 airplanes today. The first one didn't actually happen today, but the video came out today, and it was a Ukrainian Su-25 M1 getting hit by apparently a Lancet, and it caught fire, and it's probably destroyed, if not very badly damaged. I'm assuming destroyed. I don't think the front catching on fire is something you typically can bounce back from.
Yeah. I think what's to note is that we saw an attack on that airfield before, and it hit a MiG-29. The Russians back then claimed that they destroyed 2 MiG-29s and 3 Su-25s, I think. So there might still be, or they might still be piecemealing more videos for the future. We just need to be prepared.
Another MiG-29 came out.
Oh, another one.
Oh, it was a little while ago. But there was a second MiG-29 video. I think it was here. I think it was this one. So the first one was like there, and I think the second one was like here. It was like there somewhere. It was like
wait. This wasn't the second one Mykolaiv, because
no,
I remember
that's the thing. That's the thing because 2 videos came out that day. One was in Mykolaiv and one was here. And I felt like I was going crazy because everybody was like, "No, it's in Mykolaiv." I'm like, "Yeah," and and there was another one here. Though they released 2 videos that day.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, because the one in Mykolaiv, it has these like rectangles, like they're.
Oh no! Go further
rectangle.
left. Go further left.
I'm lost.
Left. Oh, wasn't it? Wait, now I don't remember either.
But anyways, the point is that, and even these over here are rectangular. Like these are, Mykolaiv has rectangular plane things. I don't know. I actually don't know what these are called. They're hangars without the hanger part. Anyway, and over here these are what shape is this? Like a hexagon, I guess technically. Yeah, it's a hexagon. So these are hexagonal. And yeah, it was one of these. It was, I think it was that one or that one. Anyway, the MiG got hit there.
Yeah, now I remember where it was in Mykolaiv. It was in between those, like in between the 2 main staging areas. Yeah, further. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much center of the screen now.
Oh yeah, it was this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were 2 videos that day. I mapped both of them the day that was. I don't remember what day it was. I suppose if I go back in time far enough, we could find it. I don't feel like it. I'm not in the mood. So I believe 3 videos have come out from this airport. I'm not convinced all the airplanes are real airplanes. This one, this Su-25, I think wasn't a real airplane. I think this was real. I'm not convinced all the airplanes that they've hit are real. I think some of them are not. They're not decoys. Well, they're kind of a decoy, but they're not decoys. I'm pretty sure, were previously destroyed airplanes that they paint to look not destroyed and just put on the airfield. So is that a decoy? I guess it technically is a decoy, but it's not a decoy in a sense that it's like made of balsa wood. It's a decoy in the sense that it's a real airplane that can't fly anymore. So I think at least one of the airplanes they've reported is destroyed. I'm pretty sure falls in that category. I don't know how many actual airplanes have been destroyed, but I think this Su-25 was a real one. Now, in addition to that, Ukraine today, they announced, without any video or photographs or anything, so I'm not going to mark this as a destroyed vehicle on my spreadsheet because there's no video evidence of it, but they did announce that they shot down an Su-25 over Avdiivka.
Well, actually, I think you would note it down if fighter bomber was to come forward.
Maybe.
I mean, in the end, he's reliable.
I've never marked a plane just because he said so. I only mark a plane if there's video or a photograph of it being destroyed. Because the reason why is because so many planes, they get damaged. It's actually a lot harder than you think to shoot down a plane. Because you can hit a plane dead on perfect with a missile and the plane flies home. Happens. You can hit a plane and have the engine explode and burst into fire and it can fly home just fine. You can hit it and blow off part of the wing and it can fly home. So you can really badly maul a plane and it can still survive. So that is why I think a lot of the announced plane kills are in fact hits from missiles, but it doesn't mean the plane was shot down. So that's why I don't necessarily follow. I don't put these reports in my kill feed. Basically, I want to see a photo or a video, or I never do this retroactively. But when they announced that a pilot died, you know the plane was shot down because the pilot died. But that usually happens a week or two after, and I never retroactively do it. Oh, it's an apron. That's the word. It's a nerd word for airplane, where airplanes live. It's an apron. Anyways, I think that's the stream, everybody. Then we'll be back on Friday. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone.